More money is spent on artificial intelligence today than at any other moment in history. Most of this spending is visible: public grants, corporate research, university laboratories, innovation programs announced in press releases. But parallel to this public system, another funding architecture exists, a system that does not appear in annual reports, a system that does not answer to regulators, a system that does not disclose objectives, data sets, or deployment targets. This system operates through black budgets. Every year, hundreds of billions of dollars are allocated to programs classified beyond civilian oversight. These are not experimental initiatives. They are not theoretical projects. They are operational systems. Artificial intelligence has become one of their primary assets. This is not speculation. It is a structural shift in how power is financed. And once funding disappears from public oversight, governance disappears with it. A black budget is not simply secret spending. It is spending that exists outside democratic accountability mechanisms. These budgets are authorized through classified appropriations, special access programs, and national security exemptions. Line items are intentionally vague. Recipients are obscured. Oversight is limited to a very small circle of cleared officials. Historically, black budgets funded nuclear weapons, satellite surveillance, cryptographic systems, and covert operations. Today, their focus has changed. Artificial intelligence now sits at the center of intelligence gathering, military strategy, financial modeling, and population analysis. Unlike traditional weapon systems, AI does not require physical visibility. It can be trained in silence, deployed invisibly, and scaled globally without public disclosure. This makes artificial intelligence the ideal instrument for off-books power. Publicly disclosed global AI investment is estimated between $150 and $200 billion per year. What is rarely discussed is the parallel funding stream. In the United States alone, the officially acknowledged black budget exceeds $90 billion annually. Independent estimates suggest the real figure is significantly higher. Across NATO countries, intelligence alliances, and strategic partners, classified spending related to advanced computation, data systems, and autonomous technologies approaches $300 billion per year. Not all this funding is labeled as artificial intelligence. That is intentional. Funds are fragmented across defense modernization, cyber operations, predictive analytics, logistics optimization, and surveillance infrastructure. But the underlying architecture is algorithmic. This fragmentation is not accidental. It is how opacity is maintained. Black budget AI funding does not move directly from governments to laboratories. It flows through a network. First, funds are allocated to intelligence agencies and defense departments under classified programs. From there, money is distributed to prime contractors. These contractors then subcontract development to smaller entities, research groups, and private firms, often offshore, often shielded by legal complexity. Shell companies, special purpose vehicles, non-transparent investment funds. This structure achieves three objectives at the same time. It obscures the origin of funding, it fragments responsibility, and it removes projects from public regulatory frameworks. By the time an AI system becomes operational, no single entity can be held accountable for its design or intent. That is not a flaw. That is the design. Public debates about artificial intelligence focus on ethics, bias, transparency, and accountability. These debates are largely irrelevant to black budget systems. Classified AI projects are exempt from civilian regulatory bodies. They are not bound by international AI accords. They do not participate in transparency initiatives. Training data is classified. Objectives are classified. Deployment zones are classified. This creates a parallel AI ecosystem, one that evolves faster, one that operates without public friction, one that answers only to strategic utility. In effect, two AI futures are being built at the same time. One public, one invisible. AI developed under public oversight is constrained by law, ethics committees, and public opinion. AI developed under black budgets is not. For geopolitical elites, this distinction is decisive. Unregulated artificial intelligence offers strategic advantages in predictive intelligence, market forecasting, behavioral modeling, autonomous decision systems, and information control. An algorithm that predicts unrest before it manifests is a weapon. An algorithm that models financial contagion is a lever. An algorithm that optimizes influence is power. And power is most effective when it is unseen. This is why black budget AI funding continues to expand despite public calls for regulation. Governance slows power. Opacity accelerates it. The existence of ungoverned AI systems is already altering the global balance. Nations with access to black budget artificial intelligence gain asymmetrical advantage. Not through force, through foresight. They can anticipate crises, manipulate incentives, and shape outcomes without direct confrontation. Smaller states become data subjects rather than actors. Markets respond to signals they cannot see. Public policy reacts to pressures it cannot trace. This is not science fiction. It is already operational. The real question is not whether black budget AI exists. The question is who controls it and who does not. Why is this system rarely discussed? Because disclosure would force accountability. Acknowledging the scale of black budget artificial intelligence would require new governance structures, new oversight mechanisms, new international constraints, none of which benefit those currently in control. Silence is not ignorance. Silence is strategy. As long as the public debate around artificial intelligence remains focused on consumer tools and surface-level ethics, the deeper architecture remains untouched. That is the function of distraction. This briefing mapped the financial architecture behind black budget artificial intelligence, a system funded at a scale approaching $300 billion annually, operating outside public oversight, shaping geopolitical outcomes invisibly. Artificial intelligence is no longer just a technology, it is a strategic instrument. And like all instruments of power, it is governed first in secrecy. Analysis complete. In the next restricted briefing, we will examine how these systems are deployed across global risk zones, and which institutions benefit most from algorithmic opacity. Subscribe to Dark Power. Index to access the next restricted briefing. Access the data.